Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to episode 7 of the C-Bus Paranormal Paracast. I'm your host, Jonathan Robson, and today we're going to be doing a special watch-along episode of the Paracast featuring the Ghost Adventures episode of Prospect Place Mansion. Yeah, this one's likely going to be painful, folks. If I sound a little different on this episode, I do apologize. I contracted the latest COVID variant this week, and I'm still going through the typical symptoms. I lost my entire sense of smell yesterday. It's been a blast. Not. I know the watch-along format isn't for everybody, and it's rarely used for Paranormal Podcast. However, it has worked for several other high-profile shows in the past to help make things a little more interactive for its listeners. So if you're new to this show, and not digging this format, make sure to give a few of our other episodes a listen to sample our normal show style. This is a special episode, and we will be getting back to our normal format next month. First off, for this month, I would like to take this time to thank the Ohio State Reformatory and the Tri-C Ghost Hunters for running the recent Parapsychon 3 convention. It's a challenge to run a crazy event such as this, let alone over the course of 3 days. It was honestly a fun event. As always, it's awesome meeting several like-minded individuals, and also talking to the various vendors that were set up inside the prison. Thank you to everybody that was involved with this event, and hopefully we'll see you next year. The Ghostly Encounters Confessions of a Paranormal Investigator book continues to sell well since we brought it back to the convention circuit. I've been highly impressed by the interest it's been bringing in as of late. Thank you to everybody that's purchased a copy recently. Jeff and I truly appreciate your support. Speaking of Mr. Cole, he will be joining me at the West Virginia Penitentiary Paracon next month on August 13th, 2022. This will be the first convention that we've been at together since 2016. So if you'd like to buy a book, or bring in your own copy, we would both be honored to devalue it by attaching our signatures to it. We'll be at the West Virginia Penitentiary from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., and rumor has it that we're going to be hanging out for the public ghost hunt later that night. So stay tuned for more information. For our new listeners, please remember to follow us on social media, visit cbusparanormal.com, and subscribe to the C-Bus Paranormal Paracast for the latest updates. We also have a Patreon page set up for additional content. We offer ad-free episodes, behind-the-scenes looks into our investigations, exclusive content, and we'll give shout-outs to new subscribers on future episodes of the Paracast. We're looking to expand the Patreon page as we go, and we're looking to make it even more interactive in the near future. A small monthly donation goes a long way in helping us provide new content for the show. For more information, visit patreon.com/cbusparanormal Paracast. Alright, the time has come. This should be interesting. We've recently been covering Prospect Place Mansion on our last 2 episodes, and we discussed the various lies and misinformation that was presented on popular paranormal television shows. Today we're going to be watching one of the worst offenders of this, the Ghost Adventures Prospect Place episode. According to the internet, which may or may not be right, this episode originally aired on January 1st, 2010, and it was on their 3rd season, episode 7. For our listeners, if you haven't listened to episode 5 and 6 of the Paracast, I strongly recommend doing so as it'll add a lot more context to what we're going to be watching and discussing today. Both episodes are currently available in our archives, through several various streaming platforms, and our official website at cbusparanormal.com. Now, since this is the first watch-along episode of the Paracast, let me explain how this works. If you want to watch along with us on this episode, you're going to need to find the Ghost Adventures Prospect Place Mansion episode to stream. The easiest access to this episode will likely be through the Discovery Plus app, where seemingly all paranormal shows go to die. It's also available through Amazon, YouTube, streaming, and various illegal methods as well. I'm going to be using Discovery Plus for this show. What's going to happen is I'm going to give a countdown from 5, and then I'm going to tell you to press play. At that time, you're going to want to press play, and my audio will be synced with the episode. So if you'd like to watch this episode along with me, I recommend pausing the Paracast and get the episode ready to play now. For those that don't want to watch it with me, I'll do my best to describe the shenanigans the best I can through my commentary. I'm not going to be airing any ads during this segment. So if you're streaming us from an app that gives you advertisements other than the ones I'm talking on, dump that app and get a better one now. That goes for the video stream as well, if possible. For those that don't have an app to watch along, or if you want a free version of the episode to watch along with, the Travel Channel does have this episode listed for free on their website. Unfortunately, it does come with advertisements, however. So if you choose to use this version to watch, you're going to want to pause my audio during the show's commercial break and then press play immediately once the show comes back on after each break. I'll leave the link in our show description for easy access. It's up to the Travel Channel on how long this link's going to be active. So far it's been over a decade, so hopefully they'll keep it up for us a little while longer. This episode is 43 minutes long. Good lord, what did I get myself into? That being said, it's time to start our countdown. If you need to grab anything before getting started, I'd recommend pausing the Paracast now. Alright, are you guys ready? Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play now. Alright, and here we go. I'm expecting the classic Ghost Adventures intro here at any time. My name is Zach Bagans. I never believed in ghosts until the Travel Channel approached me with a giant check. I'm followed around by a large camera crew that we didn't acknowledge until several seasons later. Again, the three of us and the large camera crew following us. I remember the lockdowns. It's a good shot of Moundsville. The portal to hell. Someone just scratched me? Oh my, are they like fighting each other? What the hell? Some beautiful shots of Trinway, Ohio and the mansion. Good and evil. That's an interesting photo. The smell of burnt flesh. Yeah, we'll get back to that one. Unfortunately, this poor guy isn't the only person in this episode that's haunted by misinformation. Satanic sacrifices. You can't ask for a location to be so soaked with blood and tragedy than here. Ironically, there are only a few deaths at this location, and none of them were bloody. That is actually the first piece of misinformation. The house was originally burned down on April 5th, 1855, and it was believed to be by George Blackburn, the mansion's head bricklayer. He also had served several terms at the Ohio State Penitentiary, and people misreported his death. Thankfully, they glossed over that for this part of the episode. Zach heard G.W. Adams was friends with Lincoln because the guy sitting across from him told him that before filming. Zach just asked if helping refugee slaves in the Underground Railroad was illegal, and he literally seemed shocked by this new information. I've honestly never met Tamara, so I'm not sure what type of information we'll be getting from her on this episode. However, we refer to the top of the house that she refers to as the watchtower as the cupola. There are doors in the front and the back of the basement that could be accessed to gain access into the basement for the refugees. George Adams owned most of Trinway and Dresden during the Underground Railroad era, so it's very plausible that the lit lantern in the cupola would make a great signaling beacon for refugees looking for their next station house. That's Aaron Chandler. He was an old volunteer for the mansion before I became involved with it. He painted the paintings of G.W. Adams in the parlor, Mary and Anna upstairs, and Constance Cox on the second floor as well. I've got a few of his pieces of art he did in the mansion's old gift shop as well. He does great work. That stump itself's been removed in recent years, though. There's a story that comes from the family from about a bounty hunter that approached the building. I'm going to have to comment on that. The previous owner's ties as a family member's in dispute. I'm not sure how valid that claim is in itself. However, there were a few bounty hunters in the area during this time period, especially in Zanesville. That part is history that's known. Yikes. This episode hasn't aged well at all. There is no physical or written evidence of a bounty hunter ever being at Prospect Place Mansion that I'm aware of, and they certainly didn't keep strong records in those days of the Underground Railroad. I wonder where the producer Googled that photo of this hanging individual, and how many photos they went through before they decided to use that one. Because when someone's sick, it has to be a malevolent spirit. We don't believe in natural causes or common sense on paranormal television shows. I think he was a demonologist. Now, several people claiming to be demonologists in this field is actually a problem. Apparently, if you've watched The Exorcist 666 times, they'll send you a special certificate, and you can become a certified demonologist. Yes, I'm joking, folks. Demonologists don't believe in ghosts? Is that a real thing? Ironically, I don't believe in demonologists. Okay, so we have a piece of video that's being shown from what they believe is a shadow figure in the upper level of the barn. I'll be honest, it looks like a bit of an illusion. We have a piece of video from 2004, and let's be honest, video wasn't the best of quality back then. Yeah, something blocks out the flashlight, but I can't make a determination of what blocked out the light from this angle. For all we know, the flashlight might have been back 15 or 20 feet from the camera, allowing something to cross its beams. In turn, it looks like it's walking there, when in fact another investigator could be walking in front of the flashlight. Which also explains why something appears to be walking on the unsafe part of the barn floor. Ah, the Fiero. Yeah, that went with him when he left, unceremoniously. Billions. Just for the record, I used to use Prospect Place Mansion's basement as a training ground for the team. It's extremely dark down there at night, and you can barely see within the darkness in front of your face. I would sit new team members down there, make them turn off their flashlights, and tell them to make friends. The lights are in the kitchen. Good luck with that. I like how Zach tries to get super serious here and tells Aaron that he's going to tell the spirits yes if they ask him to join him. Dude, F that. I just tell him to take Zach. Aaron states, what if I have a heart attack and die? And Zach looks puzzled and deep thought. Ah, cinematic brilliance. Ah, the train wreck of 1912. This might be the biggest piece of misinformation ever aired on Ghost Adventures or paranormal television. The wreck actually occurred about 6 miles from the mansion. So here's some photos of some train wrecks and a Holocaust photo because why not? The train wreck victims were never brought to Prospect Place Mansion. In fact, the crash site was turned into a makeshift field hospital for the injured and dead. The previous owner also states they were heading to Mount Vernon at the time. They were heading to Zanesville. Awkward. I'm sorry, Kim. Charles didn't exist. At least not in the basement. You know I'm not a fan of dowsing rods. Apparently, after 3 seasons of ghost hunting, Zach tries dowsing rods for the first time. Apparently. I personally don't like any tool or device where a person has control of it, consciously or subconsciously. Theatrics. Yes, please. And a random shot of Zach eating a light bulb. Alright, back from the break. We're back to some random shots of Trinway and alleged claims of train wreck victims again. We're talking about George Adams dying in a house. Ironically, George was buried with his financial documents. Unfortunately, the family had to exhume his body a few weeks later to obtain them once they realized it. William Cox, Anna's husband, was never officially seen again, but he was reported to be seen in Denver and San Francisco shortly after his disappearance. The previous owner gives this long story of how Anna died a broken-hearted woman in his house. This also didn't age well as Anna died in a nearby hospital in Zanesville. However, her daughter, Constance, did die in the house of tuberculosis. So after 12.5 minutes of misinformation and lies, we get to the ghostly legends of the house. Surprise, surprise, there's no record of a little girl falling from a balcony to her death. This is an extremely detailed legend, apparently except for the fact that there's no proof that it happened. That being said, our team and several other teams have recorded EVPs of what appears to be a child at the location. It doesn't necessarily mean that this entity is tied to the specific event they're describing. Apparently the bedroom sounded spookier than the son's bedroom. Whatever floats your boat, Travel Channel. You want to talk about some dark history at Prospect Place Mansion? Those old bed mattresses. Man, those are no longer there. Zach states, let's see what happens in the bedroom when we do bad things in it. Ah, that sharp wit. Almost as sharp as that overly gelled spike emerging from his forehead. Okay, we're going to look at some more evidence. I'll be honest, that's an interesting photo. Whispers and disembodied voices are a fairly regular occurrence at the mansion. The female investigator in the basement claims she's been touched at the location previously. Naturally, Zach has to make a witty comment. Oh, they called out Zach on his own show. He mistakenly asked an incubus to touch him in an improper way on a previous episode. Because that's where I heard the incubus likes it best. Oh, why do people take this guy seriously again? The female investigator states she's seen a female in the bedroom, standing at the foot of her bed, pointing at her. She claims it seemed like a warning. And Zach states he had a similar experience growing up, which made him interested in the paranormal. The female investigator leads Zach to a room down the hallway and points at a painting of Mary Adams, saying she thinks this is who she's seen. I'll have to slightly disagree, as Mary left the home and moved to Zanesville after George Adams passed. I'm not sure why she'd still be lingering at the house. A female apparition has been seen in the household. There were 2 females that we know of that died in the house. One that was never mentioned on any of the paranormal television shows, and one that had a very close relation to Mary Adams. Okay, they're talking about another claim of activity. Where a girl was sitting down. She tried to get up and couldn't get up. Apparently her friends tried to help, and then they got pushed away as well. They bolted the house, said a prayer, and left. Huh. Alrighty then. And there it is. Satanist worship. Oh, Christ. Notice all the decay and the holes in the soffits for the animals to get into the house. Did you notice the various dates I just mentioned? The female guide said this happened in the 1960s, while the previous owner states the house was abandoned from 1969 to the 1980s. Huh. More conflicting information. A lot of the claims of satanic worship came from the dead animals that were found in the house. Ironically, animals still try to find their way into the house to this day, and occasionally don't find their way out. Boom, 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 boom. Man, that music. Zach thinks the cross in the wall is there to prevent a portal from accessing the rest of the house. I've seen photos of before and after the plaster was removed from that wall. 70s and 80s rock slogans and graffiti doesn't prove Satan worship. Man, we should have took a shot every time they said the word dark history for this episode. Oh, this is back when I tried to get people to believe that they were actually being locked inside a location. Zach says he's gonna get locked into the barn. Spoiler, the doors on the barn don't lock. So overly dramatic. After several hours of being at the location, they're just now starting to set up. They got a camera in the barn. Another camera in the barn. Second floor. They got one in the bedroom. And they have one in the ballroom aimed at the cross. There's another camera in the basement. You got an attack spider on video there. And a second camera in the basement as well. Followed by another unfounded claim of dying train wreck victims. The investigation is finally beginning, they're going dark, and Zach makes a witty house on haunted hell remark. There's not a lot happening at the moment. Zach is just stating to the entities that this is their chance to show the world that we can live beyond death. Alright, it looks like they're going to try to concentrate on the possible child entity first on the second floor. Whoa, followed by a bunch of dizzying shots of the second floor. Oh my god. Nick Groff, and I quote, "This is where the girls used to stay, on these beds. And this bed right here, right, Zach?" No, Nick. Those beds likely came from Goodwill. They're obviously not original to the house. Zach is taking it all in at this point. He states that the best paranormal tool that you can use is your body. Now, if he is only as passionate about using his brain and common sense. Sometimes when your body passes by or through them, your body can pick up on it. Ah, yes. How many times has he claimed to have been possessed by season 3? Billions! The old potato infrared camcorders really bring out the crazy eyes when you're recording. Zach is now asking the child entity to respond, hit a door, make it swing shut, and they appear to get a response of something acknowledging them. And now they state they think they've caught something on video and a dust ball moves from the center of the room to the left. They're really reaching for something here, but it's falling flat. Oh, Jesus. Now they're trying to claim the dust ball is heading to the door like Zach asked it to. I love the added red arrow effect as they're trying to compare the size of a dust ball to a small child. This is clearly before they bought an SB7 ghost box to needlessly blare through 3/4 of their episodes. Alright, more spooky cutaways. Zach's repeating the story of the girl who couldn't sit up earlier in the episode. So this is where I like to be. This is the stuff that I like to chase after. The darker stuff. Which is also why this episode became such a flop a decade later. Zach is now asking the entity to touch him, hit him, slap him. We could only be so lucky. Now he's explaining how a digital recorder works. They asked a couple questions and get no response. And now they're heading to the ballroom where they learned earlier that Satan worshipping was held. Man, this is terrible. Devil sacrificing walls! Zack states that the cross that you now see was painted by the mansion's staff. It's supposed to cover vile drawings and purify its evil past. Apparently Zack isn't a fan of Led Zeppelin. Zack starts talking to the ghost slowly like he's speaking with a child. Turn off the night vision, Aaron, and show how damn stupid this is. Oh my god, Nick started reaching out in the darkness and he touched Zack, and Zack started freaking the hell out. Alright, Zack is now explaining why he provokes. Except for the fact that he obviously does it for the theatrical effect. And now Nick Groff is thinking he's getting an EVP of a woman talking, and they labeled the audio hit "Come Here Some More." On playback, it's obviously a pigeon. Oh no, another dust orb. Zack debunks the orb as not being a dust or a bug. We should really trust his expertise after they just displayed a disembodied pigeon cue. It's like it came from the wall. It's because it was. It was a bird. Zack states he wants to see if these stories are true. Why start now? The episode's almost over. He states that the only way that they can do that is to be attacked themselves. Apparently, researching newspaper archives and prior photos would have been way too much to ask. More dust orbs and fake touching sensations. Oh, now he's asking the demons to come out of the portal to attack him. They get a cold spot by the cross, which is ironically in front of a poorly insulated window. It's like ice cold here. What that means is a spirit could be passing through right here. Zack now asks if this is a bad place for him to be standing. And they supposedly get a voice that they think is stating, "Get out." Now Aaron's getting paranoid and he thinks something's walking right behind him. Dude! Oh man, they're going right back to the dust again. Oh boy, slow motion dust orbs. I forgot how bad these guys were with orbs back in the day. This is terrible. More slow motion dust orb. And at this time, Nick started feeling drained and confused. Well, he did just confuse a pigeon for a female's voice. Random shot of previous location where Nick looked possessed. Sure, why not? Oh god, the preview clips for this next segment. We're going to cover this in a great detail because this is ridiculous. Zack states the ballroom is brimming with activity and we haven't seen the last of it. So far, they've presented pretty much nothing showing activity. Another random shot of Aaron being forced to turn off the night vision. What a dumbass. Zack approaches the camera, trips on a bench because he couldn't see it in the dark. More bad acting as he's stumbling around it, and now he's lying on the floor like somebody cut off his legs. Oh boy, more noises coming from the outside wall. It's gotta be paranormal, right? Nope, just another pigeon coot they claim is an EVP laughing at Zack. I love the extra bass effect they added to it to make it sound more scary. Zack is now asking if the pigeon is laughing at them, and at this point the whole world should be laughing at them. Nick sounds concerned as he states, "This man's wounded. You like this?" Alright, Zack says it's time to be unlocked from the house to go to the barn for 1 whole hour. Zack psychs himself up and states he's gonna go have a talk with this bounty hunter. Aaron Chandler returns to unlock Zack from the house and supposedly lock him in the unlockable barn for an hour. Nick states he's going back to the Satanic Ballroom. And 33 minutes into the episode, they decide they should probably investigate the basement. Naturally, Aaron's going alone. Nick starts talking about putting a lantern in the cupola to draw out the spirits of the slaves and the bounty hunter. Zach is asking where the barn is. Oh, I don't know, the massive structure right beside the house. Nick is now staring into the camera and states that he hopes Zach gets attacked by the bounty hunter. Aaron Chandler's pretending to lock Zach in the barn, while the camera crew ignores all the various points of entry on the first floor of the barn. Zach states that slavery is wrong and that's why they hung you, followed up by an extreme close-up of his face. Terrifying. The stairs they're now showing are off limits to the public, so if you've been to the house and haven't seen them, that's why. They're no longer safe. Aaron is explaining the situation in the basement, adding drama, as he is in there alone. Zach is now doing the same, and he looks legitimately terrified. The second floor of the barn is also off limits now. It's been blocked off as the floors are no longer safe. Another cut scene of what's to come, as if it could get any worse. Do it! I think this episode was about 43 minutes too long. This is starting to get painful. Another montage. And we're back. Zach asked the bounty hunter to knock over a lawn chair to show how powerful he is. He then freaks out after a couple of noises that could have honestly been about anything. Zach states that he isn't going to panic no matter what the bounty hunter does, and he currently looks really terrified as he looks into the camera. Now we cut to 3 screens of nonsense to follow all 3 members. Nick is now provoking the Satanic Pigeon entities in the ballroom. Come on! Do it! Do it now! After all of these years, I still think Aaron Goodwin is probably the only sane member of this team. Zach continues to the 3rd floor of the barn and is still looking to square up with the bounty hunter. Zach now loses his train of thought, looking into the camera, and claims that something hisses at him. Zach continues talking shit, but he appears to be hiding behind a beam. Do it! And he's freaking out. So Zach hears a sound. He claims something got thrown at him. Now he's saying a rock was thrown at him. He said it hit him. Naturally, he isn't looking for the said rock that hit him. Now he's claiming to hear footsteps. And the replaying footage from the second level of the barn. Zach gets another light anomaly, and he states that one of his infrared lights moved while this event happened. The cutscene shows his light haphazardly sitting on a rail. Any wind or vibration could have moved that light. We're back to a 3-camera split. Zach claims all the activity is happening with him in the barn. That seems to be a reoccurring theme in this series. Oh, thank God, is it over? Of course not. Alright, we're now what I'm guessing is the group's command center, and they're talking about the evidence they found, which honestly wasn't much at all. Zach is now stating that they believe 95% of these orbs are dust, bugs, etc., which means his math is off by about 5%. They show an example of a bug and it looks like Zach is about to eat a tree branch. Odd. Now they're going over their supposed audio evidence again. Honestly, all I'm hearing is a ton of static. Ugh. And now we're back to the glowing dust balls. Please make it stop. I'm not sure my sanity can take sitting through another one of these. Just replaying more of the same nonsense we've already seen. Possess Nick again. Oh God. Zach wants to catch a glowing dust ball to prove it's paranormal. Oh, he claims they recently proved that these glowing dust balls are made of energy when they caught one on a recent investigation. He had an EMF detector in his hand, and one of the balls of light suddenly crossed over it, and it killed his EMF meter. First off, it's a millimeter. Secondly, the clip they show of this shows the sensor of the millimeter directly aimed at his device. Millimeters are cheaply made, and I can almost bet the connection to the battery failed during use. The miracle of TV editing. At least they got away from these glowing dust balls on later episodes, I guess. Zach states that he believes he was able to prove these balls of light are made of energy, while looking completely unconvinced into the camera. Oh, I don't know, guys. This was horrible. This was absolutely horrible. Good God. Woo, it's finally over. I want to thank you guys, at least the ones that suffered through this with me. It certainly was an interesting experience. I'm not sure I should be thanking those who suggested this episode, however. After that marathon, I'm going to need a minute to recover. I'll be back right after this short break.
Hey, you. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? I can tell you firsthand that starting a podcast has been a fun and rewarding experience. However, the process can feel overwhelming if you don't know how to get started. That is where Buzzsprout comes in. In fact, it's so good that they've already helped over 100,000 people start their own podcast. Buzzsprout will help you get your podcast onto every major podcasting platform, including Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. You also get a professional website and audio players to share on other websites, detailed analytics, and other tools to help you promote your episodes. Buzzsprout also publishes tutorials, blog posts, and YouTube videos every week to help you get started. To launch your own podcast and to collect your $20 Amazon gift card for signing up, click the link in our show notes on this media player's information panel. This will help support our show, and it will also help Buzzsprout know that we sent you. Buzzsprout, the easiest way to start a podcast. This episode was also brought to you by our good friend Spencer Shepard at B&B Concrete in Shelby, Ohio. He has some amazing stone pieces for your lawn and garden, such as Sasquatches, gargoyles, bird bass, and even dragons. Be the coolest person on your block and visit facebook.com/bnbconcreteman or email bnbconcreteman@gmail.com for more information. Do you like hot sauce? Perhaps it's time to dance with the Reaper. Visit our friends at Spice for Lives Foods on Facebook today. They've recently launched their first hot sauce line called Dance with the Reaper, and they will be debuting their signature taco sauce and Caribbean Rio habanero sauce in the near future. I also hear they're in the process of working on something rather ghostly. Once again, that is Spice for Lives Foods on Facebook. Stop in and visit them today. Alright, welcome back. I think we should take a few minutes to reflect on the atrocity that we just watched. Obviously, for those of you that listened to episodes 5 and 6 of the Paracast, you just got to personally witness one of the worst paranormal television shows ever made. This show had everything from false legends, outright lies, a horrible made-for-TV investigation group, and disembodied satanic pigeon coups. What else could a person want out of a paranormal reality show? Really? Let's start off with the major problems. There were several outright lies in this episode. Everything from Anna supposedly dying in the house, ridiculous claims of satanic sacrifices in the ballroom, the legend of a bounty hunter being the focal point without proof that the event actually happened, and a tragic train wreck with false claims that stated the victims were brought to the house, which they weren't. This was all aired on TV as factual information. There's also no proof that Abe Lincoln ever visited the house. It's all hearsay by the previous owner that had his own interest in mind. Hell, most of these television shows can't even get their story straight from episode to episode. Those satanic sacrifices? On the Ghost Hunters episode, they claimed these rituals were performed by a refugee slave that made her way to the attic. Obviously, this would have taken place in the 1800s. And on this episode, they gave 2 additional eras of when these sacrifices supposedly took place, with a completely different origin and backstory. So, to those paranormal groups coming to the mansion with their Parker Brothers Ouija boards looking for YouTube subscribers and demons, you've been had. It's time to admit it and stop spreading false misinformation and lies to others. Television shows such as this often do a massive disservice to the locations they're covering. There is real history to a lot of these alleged haunts, and these shows are only there to exploit the nonsense. The next time you see a paranormal show on television, ask yourself, does this story seem logical? Prospect Place Mansion is one of many sites that have had their stories twisted and mistold. Do your own research and look for the truth. Well, that was certainly interesting, and kinda painful to watch. I have a feeling we're going to be doing a few more of these in the future. It was weird, extremely painful, and kinda fun. So hopefully you guys liked it.
Our next episode will be a location spotlight episode on Landell's Mohican Castle, the Macbeth Cottage, and Hyde Cemetery. Please remember to subscribe to the Paracast on your favorite podcasting platforms, and follow us on social media for the latest updates. You can also visit us on cbusparanormal.com. Thank you once again for listening, everybody, and I'll see you next month.
Right here.
Are you laughing at us? Do you like this guy down here being hurt? He's wounded. You like this?